All right, what's going on, everyone? It is Greg and Matt here from Project Unbroken. As you know, we're former heroin addicts, and we're trying to get the word out and help people just rebuild their lives and get healthy and all that. So congratulations to Matt, number one. He has some new hardware on his finger, just got married. So today we're going to be talking about marijuana versus alcohol. Now, marijuana is still illegal in most states and alcohol is legal. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, that goes back. We've had videos about all the drugs and the legality, and how cigarettes kill more people than any other drug besides sugar, I guess. But they're illegal. So I think a lot of that has to do with kind of lobbyists and money and big business and stuff like that. Statistically, it's very clear that alcohol is more dangerous across the board than marijuana is. I don't think that's even up for debate anymore.
I mean, why would you say that's so? Like, why is alcohol more dangerous?
Well, if you're looking at just deaths caused by alcohol per year, it's
88,000.
88,000. Now, marijuana as a substance alone has never killed anybody. It's just the toxicity rate is too high to even consume enough for it to kill you. I'm sure marijuana has definitely been involved in
causing accidents,
deaths,
right?
But still doesn't pose nearly as much of a threat as alcohol does in those statistics. When you're looking at domestic violence, mental health, stuff like that, it's usually like if there's a substance involved, it's going to be alcohol more than it is marijuana.
Yeah, you know what's crazy is like the amount of families that alcohol negatively affects that aren't even in a lot of the stats. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, they say like 10% of children in the United States are growing up with an alcoholic parent.
Yeah.
That is a huge stat. I mean, having an alcoholic in your house can greatly affect your personality and your life. So, I mean, I think alcohol is, I agree with you, by far more dangerous. And I'm not...
I think 30, how many, what was that, 10%?
10% of children are growing up with an alcoholic parent.
Oh.
That's a stat I read on
That's
online.
crazy.
So, I'm not greatly into politics. Like, I don't understand, I don't get too deep into that. But honestly, it probably has to do with money, I guess. But how is alcohol legal and weed is not?
It's government, it's lobbyists, it's it sucks. It goes way back, and I mean there's all the stories about how marijuana was first made illegal and why it was made illegal, and there's a lot that goes into that about race and things along those lines. But there's so many medical benefits to it now that we've found, and still considered a class 1 drug, which is up there with like heroin and cocaine, meaning that it has no medical benefit, which is just simply not true at all. I mean, there's enough science out there now that we can determine that. But I mean, there's a whole bunch. We tried prohibition, and what happens is it goes into the black market. And it's still going to go out there, and then you have bad guys selling it, and you can't regulate it at all. That's the issue. Which, I mean, I was thinking about this even the other day, just in my mind, about every other drug. Are people naive enough to think that if they bust one drug dealer, that another one's not going to pop right up immediately?
Yeah.
I mean, I know I would sound like a crazy person to say that you should legalize all drugs across the board, but how else would you regulate it? I mean, I think that's why alcohol is legal right now, is because they tried prohibition and it just doesn't work. But back to the point of alcohol and marijuana, I don't know how it's not flip-flopped.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think I read another stat. I think alcohol makes our government $9 billion a year. They profit $9 billion a year off it, so I'm sure that helps.
Yeah.
I mean,
that has something to do with it.
Yeah, every commercial you see as well. You're going to a football game, have a Bud Light. Have a Bud Light. You're going to the baseball game, have a Bud Light. Going to happy hour, have a drink. dinner, specials on drinks. And so, I mean, it's everywhere. It's crazy, you know. And, you know, alcohol is the thing that's causing people to kind of act erratic and, you know, drunk driving and abuse people and be aggressive. I mean, how many times were you fucking aggressive on weed when you were smoking weed?
Oh, my God.
You know what I mean? It chills you out.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm not saying it's like great. I'm not saying it should or shouldn't be legalized, but it's far less dangerous than alcohol. I can tell you from experience. You know, I was never trying to fight anyone when I was high. You know,
I never flipped
weed.
Any cars when
Right.
I was high.
Yeah. Our flip cars were from alcohol.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy to me that weed is still illegal across the board, but alcohol is so widely accepted. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Obviously, you know, I know it has to do with government and money and all that type of stuff, which I don't really pay attention to, but it's a crazy concept to me that it's still that way.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and again, Greg and I have gotten into these conversations about, you know, all different sorts of substances and why they are the way they are. And a lot of it has to do with just social acceptance. And, you know, to Greg's point, if I ever sit at a bar in a restaurant just because there's no tables or we're in a hurry or whatever, I feel like morally obligated to order a drink.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. I'm like, I guess I gotta get something.
You know what's funny is, like, I can just picture myself, like, or just anyone, like, sitting at, you know, a bar or something, lighting up a joint, and, like, some, like, older people, like, oh my God, he's smoking marijuana while they're sipping on their fucking cocktail.
Yeah, they
you know
would
what I mean?
fucking freak out.
So, I mean, it's just... That needs to be changed. You know, I'm not saying if one's legal, the other should be, but I just don't see how weed is still illegal and alcohol is legal. It's crazy.
I think at least in like the general population, that it's most people are starting to grasp that.
Yeah.
But by the way people behave, you wouldn't really notice it. Like, you know, again, you don't see people just lighting up joints everywhere. You know, where it is recreationally legal, you know, you see that more and more, but alcohol still has just like a strong hold on drug of choice in America.
Definitely, and it's not like I'm saying, like, I don't think marijuana's necessarily, I don't know if it should or shouldn't be legalized. Really, when it comes down to that, it's like, I don't think people like make the argument should it be, shouldn't be, and they compare stats, but really it's never been legal, so you can't really compare, right?
Yeah.
So at the worst, I would say maybe try legalizing it. Let's compare some stats and see what happens.
Well, again, if anything, legalize it, control it, regulate it, and then at least you have like a grasp on it. Because, I mean, I remember, you know, right now we're in Pennsylvania, but just right across the line in Delaware, there was a kid that was murdered over like weed. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, that should not be an issue right now. People should not be getting shot and killed over weed. It's just it's not a crazy enough drug. If it was regulated and people could control it, and you tax it, and the government makes money, and you know, give back money to schooling systems, and that makes sense. It does not make sense to have people getting murdered over black market sales of marijuana, to me.
So we did a video on marijuana before, and the person commented, they said, watch this documentary and you will not be for legalizing marijuana anymore. What was that documentary? Do you remember that?
Oh, God, I forget the name of it.
I got halfway through this documentary, and I was like, get the fuck out of here.
So much propaganda bullshit.
So it was basically
Weed
like...
X or something.
Yeah, something X. Marijuana X, I think it was called. And it was like, they were complaining, the first state to legalize weed, who was that? Was it Colorado?
Colorado.
So the first state to legalize weed, there had been influx in crime. And they're talking about this the whole first part of the movie. And they're like, yeah, we have all these homeless people moving here because weed's now legal. I'm like, no shit, your fucking crime rate went up because you got a whole bunch of homeless people there. If the whole United States legalized it, it wouldn't be the same issue.
Yeah, not everybody's gonna flock to the one spot.
Weed does not cause people to be aggressive and cause crime. Okay? I'm not saying it can't, but across the board it does not. I mean, I've never seen anyone on weed really acting erratic. Of course, there's strong strains that could, but for the most part, compared to alcohol, people are pretty chill on weed. Not saying it's it's like a great drug for all people, but I mean, it's nowhere near as dangerous as alcohol, in my opinion.
No, not at all. And again, that's, there's going to be propaganda for and against everything. I mean, it's that way for, for sugar and for alcohol and for heroin and for everything else. So people are going to have their different opinions. But that's stuff like in Colorado too. If you look at, you can take statistics about anything and spin them however you want to say it. I mean, the money that they are able to make off of marijuana sales and invest back into their schooling systems has been just tremendous. drinking and driving rates and domestic abuse rates and all that other stuff has gone down. Yeah, people are gonna flock. I mean, for the wrong reasons sometimes, and that might cause a spike in this or that. But overall, I do not think it's been great overall for people who live there, at least.
Yeah, and last point is, marijuana has been proven to cure people for certain stuff, like cure a lot of diseases and stuff like that.
100%.
What fucking diseases has alcohol cured?
None.
You know what I mean?
Nothing.
So, when you're comparing the two, again, I'm not necessarily all for marijuana and legalizing all that, but when people ask us to compare the two, it's a way fucking better option than alcohol, which is legal and accepted by pretty much everyone.
100%. Yeah, I agree.
So hopefully that clears up, someone asked us to compare marijuana and alcohol. If you have any more questions, let us know and we'll get into it. We'll see you all soon.
Thanks, guys.